allows me to do all the talking that I don't want to put in a tutorial or, a camera review, because I just feel like the video would get way too long and I would lose people because they're there to talk specifically about that camera or that effect. Or so in this context, I can ramble. I can talk about
Unscripted.
whatever.
It's unscripted.
Exactly. And yeah. So if you want to see the real me, this is where it's at. Click below. Subscribe. All right, so welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. My name is E. I'm with my man Lance, who looks in tip-top shape today.
I hope so.
Yeah, good. You've been to the gym?
Today's a tough day. I'm opening up about some stuff I'm struggling with, so it's going to be a tough one today, I think. No?
Do you have tissues nearby?
Do I have what? Tissues? Yeah, exactly. All right. So you want to tell everyone what today's topic's about, E?
Yes. Today we're talking about Lance's struggle with addiction. And no, we're talking about personal brands. So basically how to build a personal brand for yourself, either as a business or as a freelancer, so that, you can, so that you what's the word? Basically, you separate yourself from all the other people in the industry, and clients want to work with you and recognize your talent, and yeah, you become more appealing to potential clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And having a personal brand just helps you get noticed, and will help you attract those clients. Now, before we start though, E, I do have a question from one of our viewers. Are you still babysitting a cat?
Did that really come from
No, that's just for me. Because the last 2-3 episodes, there's been a cat walking by, sometimes in the background, sometimes in the middle of the screen. So before we start, I'd like to know, are you babysitting a cat still?
No, the cat is gone. Cat left, I don't know, I'd say 3-4 days ago. Right. Yeah, it's been rough. Feeling a bit lonely. So I'm less action in the house.
I'm here to keep you company today, right, E?
Good.
So let's dive into personal brand. Okay, so how would you define a personal brand?
Yeah, well, I think it comes down, well, to me anyway, it comes down to your is it a USP, like sort of your point of difference? What does USP stand for? Did I get the right letters?
I don't know. I know what UPS is, but I don't know what
it's a USP now. Anyway,
you
probably messed that up. Well, personally, I'm basically your point of difference. So the thing that makes you stand out from everybody else who does pretty much the same thing as you. So yeah, so to me, that's what the personal brand is for. Well, first of all, people have to clearly know what you do, and then on top of that, what makes you different from the others who do what you do. So that to me was what the personal brand is for. So yeah, I think you like it. It's important in any industry, but especially in ours, I think as a videographer, then we'll go through all the different what we think is the best way to go. But there's many ways to be different and to be yourself and to build a client. A client base around that, and yeah, that's what it means to me. What about you? What do you see as the purpose and the definition of a personal brand?
So for me, I think a personal brand, you want to showcase your work, you want to showcase your personality, and that's something that I struggle with, because a lot of projects I work with clients, I can't share. I have to wait for them to share it because of corporate stuff, or even pro sports teams. I'm doing a cool shoot next week, say, but I can't show the look of the season till the team shows it, right? So you're constantly sharing stuff after. So that's what I struggle with. But I feel like the personal brand, you want it to align. You don't want a little bit of everything. You do need to show a little bit of everything, but you want it aligned where it's symmetrical. Like it all looks very similar. It shows that you're consistent. It shows that you're skilled, and it shows, showcase your talent. But how do you showcase your talent without going over the top, without being like kind of like a show off? And that's something that I struggle with, because I'm always contradicting my own social media. I'm always like worried about my own posts. But when I work for a client, I'm so confident in what we're posting and how we're showing that they're an authority in the space and that. But yet when I do myself, I constantly second guessed it. And that's where I'm struggling with building my personal brand. And that's kind of where we got the idea for this show, because that is something that I am working on right now. Is, yes, I'm consistent on social media because of this podcast, but I got to start showing things that I do on the side, not just the Canadians, because I don't even really show the Canadians. If you look at my social media, you wouldn't really even know that I work for them, because I can't always share stuff that we're doing there. And people don't want to just see game clips constantly all the time. At least that's what I think. But I got to start showing some of the corporate work I do, some of the other work that I do on my socials to build my personal brand. And I think a personal brand consists of, okay, some so good social media. So have separate accounts, maybe, like you can have one or two, maybe even up to three Instagram accounts. Is TikTok a necessity? Do you need you need a website, or you need a video profile? These are all things that I think are important for a personal brand. Which one of those do you got going on, E?
All of them.
All the above. All the above.
No, not all of them. Like, well, I do have a presence on most. Like, for example, like I'm thinking like LinkedIn. Like there is a Beyond the Game page on LinkedIn. I do have a personal page on LinkedIn, but I never go there and I never post anything because I don't think that this is where my audience. Like they probably exist on LinkedIn, but that's not where they go to consume my content or learn about, well, either learn about sports videography or just look for a sports videographer to hire. That's usually not where people go to for these things, but yeah. So for as a Beyond the Game perspective, because that's pretty much my brand is very sort of, it's Beyond the Game. It's not necessarily like me as a freelance videographer. I'm obviously on YouTube, but I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I'm on Twitter a little bit, Facebook. So Facebook is probably where I have the biggest impact outside of YouTube because of the sports videography group that I started a few years back. I think it's been 5 years now. And so that created sort of a community of sports videographers, and we all share content, not just me. Like all the members do, and it's not about sharing your content just to show off. It's more about asking for feedback or asking for advice or asking questions about anything that's sports videography related. So that's usually where I get most interaction with people, and when I share my stuff, it gets viewed by the right people as well. Instagram is a good place too, because that's where people go these days for short video content. TikTok, I do share there probably a lot less than Instagram because it's a lot less community based. Like there's a lot less conversations going on and in DMs and in comments and things like that. And it's harder to share. It's harder to get people, because obviously for me, platforms like Instagram and TikTok, like the ultimate goal is for people to leave, to go from my Instagram content and leave and go to my YouTube content. So, and it's much harder to get someone to do that on TikTok. Not that it's easy on Instagram, but it's easier. But so yes, and Twitter, I'm just randomly posting when I release a video. I'm not super active on Twitter. But yeah, I think for anyone, the key with these things, or like when you decide like which social media platform you're going to use, is to ask yourself, where are the people that you want to reach? And it's not just like, for example, from that perspective, LinkedIn might be the ultimate sort of answer, because if you want to get hired, then LinkedIn is all about business. It's all about, connecting on the professional level. But at the same time, that's not where people go every day just to consume content. So if you're trying to impress people with your show reel, with the stuff that you're working on, so that they can look at it and go like, oh, that's amazing, I'd like to work with this guy, Instagram is probably a better place to do that, because the same people that are on LinkedIn are on Instagram, but they go to Instagram for different reasons, and probably more often as well. And then they see your content there, and then they look you up, find your LinkedIn, and maybe message you there or have a conversation there. But either way, yeah, it's about knowing where your people are, both during their professional sort of time and during their just normal everyday time. So if you're going more towards, for whatever reason, like you're more into like Gen Z, or like a younger crowd, then you're probably a lot more on TikTok and Snapchat and things like that. But for me, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, that's pretty much my crowd. I'm old.
But one of the things that you did great, like you just talked about, was your community. And building that community, no one else had a sports videography community, at least not that I know of. That's an amazing way to get people to look at your content, to show that you're an authority figure in the niche. How has that community helped you?
Well, they gave me first of all, they made me believe that I wasn't doing this for nothing, that it was actually working. Because like, as soon as people start asking questions and engage with the content and get interested in what I'm saying, then you're like, all right, it's actually, I'm not alone in this. There's other people. There's a community of people who are interested in this particular topic. So if anything, it's just a confidence boost, and then it gets to another level where people ask you questions. It helps you find topics for your next videos. And when you're getting a lot of questions in the Facebook group around the same topic that are coming again and again, I know that if I make a video about it, first of all, it's going to help a lot of people, and second of all, it's probably going to get a lot more views than my other videos, because I know it's like a focus group in a way. Like, I know that people are interested in this because they keep asking you about it. And so it's really helping me to find new ideas for my videos. It's helping me as well. Like, it keeps me accountable, because I know that all these people are in sports videography. So if I half-ass a video and not do my research and then make a bunch of mistakes, someone's definitely going to notice and say something about it. So yeah, it's helping me in many ways. And it's also like, making me want to make better videos. Like, I want to make sure that they are up to par with, especially like when I see all the amazing content that's going around in the Facebook group, and I'm supposed to be, in theory, like the authority in this field. Like, I definitely want to make sure that my content is at least on par with everyone else. So yeah, it sort of motivates me to always get better. And yeah, and it's also good to when you make a living by like talking to a camera by yourself, and editing by yourself, and just being always by yourself in your little studio, it's good to have this online community that you can talk to and have relationships with in many different ways. And it also helps from that perspective. Like, you don't feel as alone as you would if I was just making YouTube videos and not talking to anyone, and not really having any interaction with viewers in the comments or in a Facebook group or things like that.
Well, it's funny, since I started my own company and I started branching out, and like, obviously I'm trying to brand, I find myself participating a lot more in these communities. Like, I'm in a couple of communities, like some camera ones, some drone ones, your sports videography community. And the second you get engaged in these communities and you try to help other people, first of all, it feels rewarding, but it does open doors, and you get to check out other people's projects that you might not have seen. You get ideas. Sometimes it can lead to collaboration projects and stuff like that. So communities are very, very important, I think, for building a personal brand, for networking, for getting to know other people, and to see other people's struggles, because everybody struggles at some point in their career, and either it's in their shoot, in their edit, on their journey. And it's nice to know that other people are there for you to answer those questions, or to maybe just share a common story in that. So for you building that community, like I appreciate it because it does help. And I remember when you first did it, I was like, oh, okay, what's this Facebook thing? And I check it out. And I find with the sports videography community, most people are helpful. Like I'm on this drone one, and anytime anybody asks a question, they're like, read the manual. And people still are so
Classic.
not helpful, you know? But in your community, people are actually helpful because people want to improve, people want to learn, people want to get new jobs or gigs or new experiences. So people are there to actually help. When other communities, like there's a lot of bashing going on and a lot of policing that you have to do. And I feel like from what I read in your community, there isn't that much of it. Yes, I'm sure you get the occasional comment you have to block or somebody acting silly.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the internet. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
exactly.
But I'd say 95% of it is helpful. And it's honestly, for me, it's a great tool to use. And I'll look at it in my spare time. Like I'm not going there to get all my advice or all my stuff, but when I'm scrolling, I'm definitely stopping in. I'm checking up to see what's new in that community. What are people asking for? What are people into? Because trends, you have to stay with the trends too, right? Especially in our field, there's trendy videos, there's trendy topics and stuff like that. So it's a great way to keep up to date. I feel with the community.
No, that's a good point. By the way, I looked up USP uh,
And
while we were talking, and I did get it right. It's unique selling point. That's what it is. So it does make sense. So let's talk about it actually, because like for you, like what would be your if you're starting as a videographer and you're trying to separate yourself from the other videographers in your area, like do you feel like you have like a unique selling point? Is there something that's unique about you that you think that separates you from the rest?
well, unfortunately, being in Montreal, you know what it's all about. All you have to do is mention the Montreal Canadiens. And the second you say you work with Montreal Canadiens, everyone's all intrigued. They don't even care what you do. They just want to hear about that. Um, but except for that, honestly, my unique selling point is when I target, I'll just go off sports videography, but like if I target corporations and corporate people for videos, what I try to do is I try to target people who are time poor and need video because we know as videographers, video takes a lot of time. You got brainstorming, you got scripting, you got shooting, you got editing, you got graphics, you got all that stuff. So, what I try to do is make it as simple as possible for my client, which means I handle everything. All they have to do is show up that day. So, yes, I'll have a quick brainstorm session. We'll come up with ideas that they need, problems that need to be solved. I'll write all the scripts. I'll bring a teleprompter if needed. We'll do a 1 day shoot, could do 30 videos that day, and then I'll handle all the editing, and then they have content for 3 months. So that's my unique selling point. That's what I try to push. There are projects that a lot of people don't have. Like a lot of people don't have brand stories, a lot of companies. So it's like what people want to be invested in the brand. They don't want to just buy your product. Like it's funny because there's a Montreal-based company that does it very, very well on LinkedIn. Midday Squares. Now, I wasn't all no, you never saw them. Okay, so they make this functional chocolate bar, and I wasn't always crazy about the idea because at first it was the three owners, and the videos were all about the three owners and not really about the chocolate bars. Okay, or the functional chocolate bar, and I thought that was kind of strange. And I actually applied there, and they messaged me and actually asked me if I was interested in a position there to do videos when they were looking. Like I applied, and I got a second call back, but I never went because I couldn't get over the fact that they were positioning themselves and not their product. But the more that I see them on LinkedIn, the more I see people are relating to them more and more because they're sharing their struggles, their story, their issues. They're not sharing the chocolate bar. They're showing everything but the chocolate bar. And it's really, really working. And I'm realizing people are more invested in the people behind the brand or in the brand than the actual thing you're selling. So I know it's a bit off topic, but it's really cool. Check it out because it's kind of neat to see how showing the ups and downs of a business or of a videographer's journey sometimes might be more valuable than the actual video you can do.
Yeah, and it is like it's not that off topic because like it's the same thing in sports. Like, well, I might go off topic here, but like in a way, like when you're filming a team that's losing all the time, like what do you make your videos about? Like, what I mean? Like, you're not gonna make it about the wins and losses, and because you're just you're just killing yourself really. So like you make it about the players, you make it about the coaches, the little stories within the team, the this, the that, the community, the like everything around the sport, but you're not really talking about the games that much. You just make it about everything around it. And that so yeah, so that's also like a lot of the losing teams on a professional level. If you watch their videos, yeah, it's all about the work that they do in the community and all that sort of stuff. And it's normal. It's you're building your brand while avoiding the fact that your team is not going anywhere, especially when sports like basketball where like some teams are losing on purpose. Like, what do you
Yeah, to get first round picks. No, but look at you and I right here, okay? So a game day glare is part of both our personal brands, but it's a way for both of us to kind of show our personalities. You can't be like this or have an in-depth conversation for an hour on a subject or about life experiences on your YouTube channel because people are there to learn and just do this. Where on this channel or on these podcasts, people get to see you and get to hear your experiences and stuff like that. So it's a different aspect of your personal brand.
exactly. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It allows me to do all the talking that I don't want to put in a tutorial or a camera review because I just feel like the video would get way too long and I would lose people because they're there to talk specifically about that camera or that effect. Or so in this context, I can ramble, I can
It's
talk about
unscripted.
whatever.
It's unscripted.
Exactly. And yeah. So if you if you want to see the real me, this is where it's at. Click below, subscribe.
Speaking about the real you, how
Yes.
important is it in your personal brand to have a niche? Because that's like I've discussed this on the show before. That's something like I've gone through business coaches before, and they're always like, pick a niche, pick a niche, pick a niche. I don't want to pick a niche. Like I do sports videography because I love it. It's one of my main jobs, but I want to get into the corporate world. And I've been trying other stuff like real estate or businesses, textiles, stuff like that. And for me, that's my struggle with my personal brand because how do people relate to a guy that's filming NHL hockey games and then filming, I don't know, a laundry facility? Where you were like, I'm all in, I'm sports videography, that's it, that's all. Did you ever, like, obviously you do other videos too sometimes, right?
It's been a while, but yes.
And you just keep that out of your niche and that's doesn't ever air on your channel or your socials.
You're talking about stuff that's not related to
Yeah,
sports.
that's not sports related.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm trying to think when's the last time I did something that wasn't sports related, and it was definitely in Australia. But even then, it would have probably be for a company that's a sponsor of a team that I was working with. And they just suggest. So sometimes the video is not necessarily about sports, but there's like a soccer player in it, or there's, I mean, like this, it's related. And I think really early when I started my business, actually, my first client was a soccer team, and one of their sponsors was a university, like the Melbourne Business School. And I just happened to be at like a launch, like season launch event, and sitting at a table. And the guy sitting next to me was the marketing person for that school, and he was like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And I tell him. And then when the videos were playing, there were videos playing at the event, and he's like, "Oh, you did this?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And eventually he hired me to do like a bunch of videos for the school that had absolutely nothing to do with sports. But it was interesting because it actually helped me so much because they were all, because I'd never gone to business school. I never ran a business. I was a freelancer, for many years, but that was pretty much the extent of my business knowledge. And I was filming all these different courses, because it would basically wanted to do promos that it would put on the website to sort of sell the courses. And so I learned so much just being in these classes and filming all that stuff. So it was just, nothing happens for nothing. Like there's always, and if you see an opportunity that, like for me, like at the time, filming university classes sounded boring as hell. But once I got there, I realized what an amazing opportunity it was for me to learn from, these classes cost like, you know, 5 digits and things like that. And I was just there being paid. And so just consuming all the information. And anyway, I digress. But to answer your question, yeah, I don't turn down necessarily work that isn't sports, but I never go after it. And it just for me it was just I used to do television before I got into sports, and I just fell into the Canadians job just because the guy who was doing it before me was just looking for someone to replace him for the summer, so that was the original plan. And yeah, I did okay. So they kept me, and once I started there, actually I was doing more like the ads for the concerts and the events that are coming to the Bell Center. So it's funny. Like I realized, like all my life doing television, I really appreciated getting work because that's what I wanted to do when I went to school and stuff, and I was doing it, so life was good. But the topics of the TV shows that I was working on weren't really that interesting. It wasn't anything that I was interested in. Like I was just interested in doing that job, but that was about it. And when I started doing like music and sports, and I was like, oh, this is way more fun when you're actually invested in the topic and you care and you actually want the product to look a certain way because this is the type of stuff that I would watch, and so I'm trying to make it so that if I saw that on TV or wherever, I would be interested. So that was way more motivating for me. And from that point on, it was just that's what I do. Like I can't just go back to doing stuff I don't care about because that becomes way more boring once you've done the cool stuff. So I just went all in with sports, and yeah. So obviously for me, my USP is, or my niche is sports. Like I could be a videographer and just work on anything, but I decided to focus on sports and make it my thing and make it a thing basically for first of all, because I don't think a few years back sports videography wasn't a term that was being thrown around much. Like it wasn't like there wasn't professional sports videographers who were doing this for a living. Like there was probably video editors that worked at a professional sporting team. Well, even then, like it's a pretty recent thing to have full time. Because when I started at the Canadians, we're all freelancing. Like no one was full time. So so yeah, it is a recent thing, and but once I realized that it was becoming a thing, I was like, all right, I'm going all in, and I'm believing not only in myself but in the industry. Like I can see it becoming, especially with the internet that was blowing up, and video on the internet, especially like getting bigger and bigger. What we're talking at the same time that I started working at the Canadians is where YouTube started, and then Facebook started making videos, and so that's when all these things sort of gave people like us like so many more opportunities. And yeah, so my goal was to focus on sports and make any type of sport related content, and I've been lucky enough that it worked out. But there's a lot of, like you said, building your personal brand, networking, being good at what you do so that people want to work with you again and want to. So like when I said like I'm working with sponsors, like that's part of networking. Like if I'm working with a team and I'm doing a good job and they've got a sponsor who wants to make a TV ad or a social media ad and they don't know anyone, then that team's gonna suggest that they work with me, especially if one of their players is involved, because they obviously now they're invested, they want it to look good, and they want someone that knows how to work around athletes. So they're definitely gonna suggest that I do it because they're comfortable with my work and the way I am during a shoot with athletes. So yeah, it's building these relationships and becoming like, obviously with the channel, as you said, it sort of gives me that that authority figure sort of status where, like, if people see my channel, they automatically assume that I know what I'm talking about. So that obviously helps. So yeah, it's doing all these things. Yeah. So for you as a freelance, like, do you, when you say you want like different niches, is it because you're bored if you do the same thing all the time and you need that variety, or is it just because you're just happy to work wherever there'll be people hiring you, basically?
No, well, so in sports, right? I feel like I've done majority of things in sports, right? And
Mm.
sports are usually in the evenings or on weekends.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you,
Yeah.
so you have a lot of free time during the day in that. And I really want to control my own schedule. I'm really looking for like financial freedom, all those great things that everyone looks for in life, you know? So that's why I try all these different niches. I also feel like in the corporate world, I'm sorry to say this, but their videos suck. And I feel like with a sports background, I have such an advantage to help these companies to put out good content, good branding, good storytelling, and they don't seem to know how to do that, or they're a lot of companies are too afraid to put their story out there or videos out there. They all play it safe. So when I'm talking to a company, I check all their stuff and I look at their videos, and I'm pretty confident that we could do something 10 times better. So that's the way I try to approach it. Now, niching, yeah, that's where I struggle. Like, I really, really wanted to do all these amazing real estate videos, okay? Because, on Instagram, you see all these amazing real estate videos. And let's be honest, we work in sports. Speed ramping isn't something that's new to us, right? And that's all these really have is motion blur, speed ramping, cutting to a beat, uh, nice quick edits, some sweet transitions, and some drone shots, right? So I'm like, I'm going all in on real estate. So I did a couple of real estate agent videos, and they were good, but I don't like real estate because of the agents. The properties are easy to film. You have you have an hour or 2 hours with a house for a 1 minute video. You bring your gimbal, you bring your drone, you can bang out those shots. You just kind of figure out. I would go in already having an idea of how I want to edit the video, what kind of track I'm using, stuff like that. But dealing with the agents was the part that I didn't like because they're always, well, at least the ones I dealt with, they didn't see the value in it. Even though they're making thousands of dollars on this commissions, they don't want to pay $1,000 for a video. Say, that brings them the value and gets them to the viewer to see that. And I was trying to sell them something that they weren't used to. I was trying to sell them not videos on the house, not all these cinematic videos of the house. I wanted them to sell themselves, to show themselves as the expert. Have them debunk this, talk about inflation, talk about what the borrowing rate is for a mortgage, stuff like that, and inform the public. And they're like, okay. And then you propose them a content package, and they didn't want to pay for that because they were just looking at, like, I want to do a video on this house to sell this house. And a lot of them didn't see the bigger package where if you sell yourself, people will come to you to sell you, to have you sell their house. So I thought it was going to be a really, really good niche, but for me, my experience in it, it wasn't. And I really felt like I was bringing my sports background to that niche. Now, don't get me wrong, it works for some people. And a lot of people do well on that, but you have to shoot a lot of houses. I didn't feel like shooting 10 houses a week. That was way too much for me. And then especially you got a quick turnaround. So like if I'm shooting the house on Tuesday, well, they want that edited by Wednesday because they need it as fast as possible. So that was a niche that I thought was going to be great, and it just wasn't. So there's a couple of other niches that I've tried too that I've been more successful with. But I still haven't found that one. And I know our viewers are probably like, yeah, but you're already in sports videography. Why are you looking for another niche? But I can't go and film a baseball game on a Monday afternoon in November in Montreal. So you got to find at least for me, I felt like I have to find something else. And that's why I started my own company, to try and do some more corporate gigs and try and get it out there. Um, so yeah, I'm still struggling with that niche. And I had a business coach who gave me crap every meeting, like pick a niche, pick a niche. And I'm like, I can't decide because I haven't found that one thing. The only thing that I do know is I'm really good at telling stories, and I can help you tell your story. So that's where I felt like maybe I was looking at it wrong. Instead of looking at a niche, I should look at it more as, let's see who needs a brand story and let's help that company do their brand story. And this way, it's more rewarding for me because I get to, help someone tell their story.
No, that makes sense. But I think like in sports, like if you were to do like a niche as a sports videographer, especially when you're starting, it's not even about, oh, just I'm a sports videographer. That's my niche. It's even more niche than that. Like a lot of, like for example, a lot of people start by doing high school sport, and they'll be the guy that makes all these little individual packages. Like they'll do like a highlight pack for one player and another, and then they'll do like a recruiting video, and that's sort of their thing, where they, in that area, they probably cover maybe 2 or 3 schools, and they do a bunch of individual packages for a bunch of athletes. Sometimes they'll film one game and it's 3 or 4 different athletes that they're shooting for that game, and then they'll make videos for, and that's sort of their thing. And ultimately, as they get better and better, maybe the league will approach them to make videos and things like that. But yeah, it's about finding your, if you're in an area, because obviously you don't want to. You're not going to work for, if you're freelancing, like you're not going to work for all these different professional clubs. Like it's going to be more on the individual sort of level. So it's like, it's usually school related, and that's sort of the way to start, and then you can go from there. But working with businesses, a good way again is to just use the sponsors. Like for example, especially now with like in the US, like with NIL, there's a lot more opportunities now for those businesses that want to pay a player to represent their brand. Then obviously they're gonna want to make social media content around it. So using that as a way to put your foot in the door, and just having these relationship with all these different athletes that are getting NIL contracts, and that with that you're basically the middleman, or the marketing team, I guess, for that side of the business. So yeah, there's many ways to go about it. It just depends where you live, what you want to do, and how much not marketing, but like how much work are you willing to do to sort of sell yourself to potential clients.
Yeah, because I mean, I do have a sports niche, right? My sports niche is hockey.
Hmm.
I have a contract with Montreal Canadiens. I have a contract with Hockey Canada. I have a contract with Hockey Quebec that I do. People call me all the time to come, yeah, to come film my tournament. Can you take pictures here? No problem. So I do have a hockey niche. The thing is, I guess I got to have one Instagram with hockey, one Instagram with corporate stuff, and separate the two, and then one with game day glare. That's the hard part where it comes to personal branding. It's like, ideally, I would love to just share everything in the same spot, right? But you're attracting different people. So the corporate person I'm sending to my Instagram, he doesn't want to see my hockey highlights. He might watch one or two, but that's not what he's really interested in. But if I send a hockey program, my hockey highlights, where I have professional and Hockey Canada and Hockey Quebec stuff, well, yeah, that's exactly what they want. So that's the tricky part about branding yourself, is not everybody is just one-sided. People have multiple jobs that they do, multiple videos they can edit or will edit, but it's, what are you showing to who?
Are you doing it now, like as like in terms of your online presence
How am I
and
doing it now? Thank you for putting me on hot seat. All right. So what I'm doing, honestly, I have 2 Facebook pages. One is just my personal stuff, which is just like, where my friends are, stuff like that. I do share stuff sometimes about work, but very rarely. And then I have a work related one, my company, Premier Connoisseur Inc. I have that. I don't even really share that. Like I never asked all my friends to follow it or stuff like that. But what I do is I share all the work that I'm doing. So on that, you're going to find everything, anything like from podcast clips to podcast episodes to corporate gigs and stuff. But usually what I do is I don't share the content. I wait until the company or the person I'm working for or the organization shares it. And then I share it on there. And then when I have discussions with companies, I'll forward them. They can take a look there for themselves. But I kind of share everything on there. On my Instagram, we have 3 accounts going. So I have my personal, I have my company, and we have Game Day Glare. Game Day Glare is just Game Day Glare, right? My company is a bit of everything. So we got Game Day Glare clips every day. And then what I'll do is in my pin section, whatever is the most recent video that I've done for a corporation or a sports video. I do mostly sports videos in that. I'll pin that up top so people can take a look at that. And my personal is just anything personal that I want. I kind of try and keep that not company, not work stuff. Like anything that I think like, oh, one of my friends would like to see this or this is kind of cool.
That's where you
I'll
take your
share
shirt
it.
off.
That's it. That's it. It's me shirtless. But that's how I do it, and that's not the right way. I know it's not the right way. No, I'm serious. If I'm building
Well,
a
what would
personal,
you do differently then?
I would separate it. I think I would. I think I'm going to have to go into my company one, start deleting some stuff, and really organizing with the reels that I want people to see to get hired instead of just sharing content. But sharing our game day glare content every day gets me a lot of viewers. It gets me a lot of engagement, which works for me too, right? So like I'll get random messages from people sometimes. Well, so do you too, right? Asking questions or asking about stuff. You build a community. And when companies do look, like I had a couple of people ask me like, oh, I heard you do corporate stuff. I saw your podcast. Would you be able to are you interested in maybe helping out with this project? And that's just from people who I'm reaching who aren't following me, who don't really know me, but they see me online and they see that online presence. So it is helping, but I feel like I could do a better job at it. I don't know if that answered your question, but I just want to be more consistent on every platform. Like I want you to go on my corporate Instagram and say, okay, this is corporate. Okay, this is Game Day Glare, and this is who Lance is. Because you got to show your personality too, things you like also. Because sometimes, as you know, people hire you. It's not just your skills. They're like, I like working with E. You know, we worked together that day. It was so smooth. Like he doesn't stress out. Um, People hire you, so it's kind of tricky. And I mean, I encourage clients to share stories where it's them talking or them being themselves, and we'll share reels of the actual company because that's better for viewer engagement. But I could do that for them, but I don't have the guts always to do that.
Mm. Well, I should.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what today's episode is. It's like today.
Now.
That's it. Today is to learn from UE and see like how I could be better. All right. Because honestly, you do a good job at all this, and I'll give you credit where credit's due. Like
I do
you're
like to talk
constantly
about
putting
myself.
you're constantly putting up YouTube videos. You have digital packages that you sell online. You have a presence on your website. You have a presence in your community. You know, you're constantly putting out content every week with this show. So those are things that give you an authority in this space, and
Yeah.
you built your brand. Now you're just maintaining it. You know, it's like when you
Yeah.
go to the gym and you get nice and ripped, and all you gotta do after is just a couple sets every day instead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no. Well, thanks first of all, but yeah, it took a while. Like it's not like I just like made a couple of YouTube videos and there I was with my personal brand all great and shiny. Like it took me years to sort of first of all figure out what my channel was going to be about because it was always about sports, but I did some sport documentaries, I did UFC, I did like a lot of different things until I decided to just like focus on sports videography, and then I had to build that just as a YouTube channel, and then the other communities, whether it's the Instagram or the Facebook group, like it's and once I felt like I was at a place where I had people that were just interested on the regular basis, not just once in a while when they're interested in that specific topic. When I felt like I had like real fans that were watching my videos, we on a weekly basis. So whenever I was putting them out, that's when I started, selling, whether it's the digital backs or mentorship, the consults, things like that. So yeah, it was a process. All that to say that it took a while. It wasn't like I just showed up and say, "Here, buy my LUTs." There was a whole process before that. It took me a while to get there, but yeah, now I think I'm in a good space. But at the same time, it's not. It's never. You're never done, because if I just sit there do nothing, people forget that I exist, and they don't go to my website, and they don't buy my digital packs. So I still have to work on that personal brand every day, come up with new topics and new things that are interesting for people, and make sure that I'm relevant and on top of my game, and all these different things. So yeah, it is a lot of work, because you're the talent, you're the behind the camera, you're the marketing person, you're this, you're that, you're doing everything yourself. But when it works, it's fun. That's why for me it's funny, because like I sort of feel a bit like I've got a bit of imposter syndrome in a way, because I'm so invested in the YouTube side of things that I'm not doing as much real pure sort of sports videography as I used to do. Like I'm not working full time for a team. I'm not like constantly doing work for clients. I am once in a while, but I'm way more invested in my YouTube videos and my tutorials and things like that. So they are helping sports videographers, but sometimes I feel like myself, like, am I really a sports videographer? Like, I don't do it that much anymore. So, and it evolves so quickly that I'm like, am I becoming a bit sort of, I'm left behind, basically, because I haven't worked for a team in a long time. Like, who am I to tell someone how it works? Like, I haven't done it in so many years. It's probably completely different to when I was doing it. You know what I mean? So there's a bit of that sometimes feels a bit weird. But that's why, like, my niche is really, the educational side of things, and helping people get better, and not necessarily be someone that's more focused on, here's this great content that I produce, and if you want to have that, then you can hire me, because that's not what I'm trying to sell. I'm trying to sell more my knowledge, and then help you get better, than to try to make videos for you, if that makes sense.
Well, you're selling the experience, right? You have a lot of background experience that comes with filming sports. And honestly, a lot of it you learn on the job. You don't learn it in a textbook. You don't learn it in school. You learn it while you're there. Yes, school will help to get you the foundation, but there's a lot of stuff you're going to pick up on the job. Now, I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about where you sell your digital packages and all that, your website. Okay. When building a personal brand nowadays, like, I don't even know if it's necessary to have a website. It's necessary to have a website to sell your digital packages, right? But it's not like back in the day where people would be like, "Oh, who's E?" and they'll Google you and they'll go to your website for everything. Nowadays, they check your socials first, then they'll go to your website. So I don't have a website. I use Full Time Filmmakers. They have a videolead.com profile. It's set up the same thing as a website. I just pay that, and it does everything the same as a website. But for you, what did you do? Like, how did you decide to go with a website, and who did you use to build your website?
I use Squarespace, which is very it's convenient, because you can do it yourself, basically, even if you don't know anything about building websites, because you start from a template, and then you can easily move things around. It's very modular. So if you created something on one page, you can sort of copy paste it on the other page and just change the text, or what, you can change everything. But like, yeah, it's very easy to do it yourself. But I think like I do think a website is still kind of important, because it's kind of your business card. So it's a place where, that there'll probably be a bio that's a bit longer than what you have on Instagram, for example. You can have a gear list there. You can maybe have your prices if you want. Um, those type of things, and it just I feel like it just gives you that little. If someone's not too sure how professional you are, like especially when you're starting, if you're already established and you got clients, your website's probably hasn't been updated in years, and no one cares. But if you're starting, it's kind of good because it just gives you that little. It makes you look a little bit more professional. It's the equivalent of, yeah, back in the day, like having a business card instead of, oh, let me give you my number and having to write it down on a piece of paper. It just looks more, I know what I'm doing, sort of thing. It's similar to, like, instead of having like a Gmail email address, it's like your business.com. It just makes you look just a little bit more professional. Does it gonna get is it gonna get you that many more clients? Probably not, but it's all about image, really. That's all it is. But for me, especially, like, it's because if your goal is to just freelance and make videos for other people, yeah, the website's probably not going to do much other than what I just described. But if you tend to do some online business in any type of way, having a website is definitely definitely got to be the foundation of that business. Because, like, for me, like, that's where I sell my digital packs, my consults, and also if I wanted to do eventually like courses or memberships and things like that, it can be hosted on other platforms, obviously, but it can be done on your website as well. And your website can become sort of your one-stop shop for everything that you sell online. And it's, well, I only know Squarespace. I don't know the other equivalents like the Wix and others out there. But yeah, it makes it very easy for someone who doesn't know anything about online businesses. Like, you just connect PayPal and another thing for card payments, and you're all set. You're ready to go. It's all done internally. Like, it's not like I'm dealing with all the financial side of things. I just get, whatever money's coming in. I take it out once a month, and that's about it. Like, if there's a fraud or something going on, there's someone handling it in there, and I'll get an email about it, and I can decide if I want to contest or block or whatever the case may be. But yeah, all these things, all that to say that, like, all the things that are not necessarily some things that you know much about, like, they become a lot easier to do by yourself. You don't necessarily need a webmaster. You don't necessarily need someone to handle, like, you don't need an accountant. You don't need all these other things when you have like a website that has all these things sort of built in. So that helps someone like me be a one-man show and just stay like the lone wolf that I am, and not ask help for anything, and just do it all. But it is, it is good to ask for help. And in saying that, like, even if you use Squarespace, it's very good to have someone helping you build it. Like, there's a lot of, like, Squarespace community has its own thing where it's like the equivalent of like a Fiverr or these sites where you can hire someone to build things. So you can get someone to build it for you, and it's probably going to look a lot better if you've never done it before, through it that way. And yeah, for me, for what I do, a website is definitely a plus. But I can see how, like, I don't think that people discover me because of my website. It's more, once they already know me, then they go to my website.
Honestly, you bring up some good points. Like, that's what I think I'm gonna eventually have to do too, is just build my own website, so that way you can have some digital products. Not that I'm gonna sell them all, but there's definitely some PDFs or some help guides that I could put together to help people to kind of build up my brand, build up some authority. I mean,
some giveaways, maybe.
That's it. That's it. Even giveaways stuff, because I mean, I'm sure eventually, once we get sponsors for the show, we're going to be giving away tons of stuff every week, no we?
Cameras, cars.
Exactly. But yeah, I've helped other people build the websites. I've done content for websites, but yet when it's come to myself, I haven't. So that's something that I need to do to help build my personal brand. And now it's just a matter of when I'm going to take that step, you know? Now, while building your brand, like networking is crucial, right? How do you find the easiest way to network? Is it on jobs? Is it online? Is it reaching out to people? What do you usually do for networking?
Well, it depends. That all comes down to your personality, right? Like whatever fits you the best, because we're all very different when it comes to these things. For me, well, there's two aspects to it. Like as far as getting clients as a videographer, it's been very much through my work. So just being really good at what I do and really good to work with, and other clubs seeing what I'm doing and saying, "Oh, we want this too," and then saying like, "Oh, who did this?" and then getting in touch with me. It was a lot of like word to mouth going just from doing good videos. Really, that's all it was. And and then I'd say online is probably the best way for me to yeah, just using Instagram and reaching out to people, like building like all the collabs that I've done on my YouTube channel. Most of them, if not all of them, uh, happened because I reached out to someone that I saw either on YouTube or Instagram, and I thought, oh, they'd be cool to jump on the channel and bring some value that they could, that they would be making a lot more sense. Like for example, there's a girl that she was like a volleyball videographer. So I've never really filmed volleyball, so it made a lot more sense to make a collab with her for a volleyball videography video than just talk about it by myself on my channel. So I reached out to a bunch of. That's how I met Peter Sorellis. That's how I met Peter Gottschalk. Actually, Peter Sorellis reached out to me, but that's how I reached out to Gottschalk. I reached out to a photographer. I just did not too long ago a collab with like a basketball video editor. I'm doing one now with a football videographer. So yeah, for me, online is a great way to connect with people and network and do all these things. But that's because I'm a shy type of guy, and in the real world, when I'm at a sporting event, it would make a lot of sense for me to talk to everyone and connect and talk about my YouTube channel and potential videos that I could do for this person or that person. But I'm just not really that guy. So but if you are, that's definitely make the most of these things. Like I remember one time I was at a basketball game, and a couple of NBA players were there, and I was like, I should go, just walk up to them and start talking about the idea of making videos. And I didn't, and I regretted it, and I told myself, oh, next time I'll talk to them, and didn't realize that there was no next time because it was the Olympics, so they were gone. So yeah, like you have to seize those opportunities, um, and yeah, I didn't, so it's on me. But yeah, there's many ways to do it. How do you do it?
Well, my online presence isn't like yours, right? I'm not a YouTube star. So
Star.
when I do jobs, I try to do the best job I could do. I make sure that things run as smoothly as possible. And I make sure I have a really good attitude when I'm doing these jobs, because, things go wrong. Things happen. There's pressure. You're supposed to deliver. So I make sure I handle that. And, I do chat people up, not looking for a job, because sometimes I'll talk to people and it leads to a job that I never even realized that they were a CEO of a company or whatever, because, I filmed an event not that long ago, and it's supper, and I get sat down at this table, and I'm sitting beside two CEOs. I have no idea what their job title is. They know what my job is because they've seen me walking around the last 2 days and seen my videos on screen. And then they approach me for projects with their companies, and that worked out for me because I put up a good video. They saw the product right away, firsthand. They enjoyed it. They saw that I was easy to work with, fun, and diligent. Like, I
Mm.
was doing a good job. Come on. I was doing a good job. So that led to it. And it started off with a simple conversation. And then eventually it came into, oh, what do you do? And where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. And it opened up some doors for me. So I always just try to, treat people the way that I want to be treated on a job. I try to get to know everybody that I'm working with, and I try to make sure that it's fun for everybody. None of it's fun, but pleasurable. And that's something that I used to not do when I was younger. When I was younger, you used to hire me. I used to come in, film your stuff, and then go home because I thought that's what people wanted. I thought they didn't want the videographer to be talking or just to do his shots, do his edit. Give The product was still good, but I started enjoying more everything else that went around with production. And also, it's different now that I'm a face of a company. Instead of just working for somebody, I'm not just showing up, setting up a tripod, setting up the sound, miking somebody up, press and record, and that's it. You know, um, so make connections, talk to people. You'd be surprised of who's watching you when you're not watching, when without even realizing. So make sure it's silly things like when you're doing a shoot, dress properly, show up early.
Be professional.
It goes a long way. And once people see that, you can get more jobs. Well, I land more jobs off of people referring me than I do from running Facebook ads, than I do from cold call emails or calls and stuff like that. Referrals are my number one thing because when someone refers me to someone else, they trust that person usually who refers. So it's not really like a job interview. It's more about we want to do this kind of video. And then it comes down to we want you. What's the price? What's the budget? All those questions, which are hard too. But it's not so much about me showing my portfolio, me showing my work. They already trust me. I'm already in the door. Someone's referred me. And those referrals usually come from people working with me, getting to know me and liking me. So networking it's huge. It's huge. I wish I would have networked so much better when I was younger, but videos changed also, right? Like no one really, when we first started in this industry, no one really believed in video the way they do now. Now it's everywhere. You need video. Every company, if your company does not have video, you are falling behind. So it helps when you find someone you trust in video who can deliver, and it makes your video experience much more enjoyable. So networking is so important, and that's something that I really focus on nowadays at every job I'm on.
No, it's a good point. And would you say like how much of like your filming style or your editing style is part of someone's personal brand?
It varies because everybody, like, I'm not going to film everyone the same way. So I'll have a talk with them, and I'll ask them. I always ask my clients to show me stuff that they like whether it's the look, whether it's the style, whether a video that they like, and we'll build something off of that. I mean, obviously, if you're doing interviews in a corporate world, they kind of are very, very similar lighting, similar stuff. You can color correct them a little differently. You can give a couple different angles, stuff like that. But it's really to understand what that person wants. Because if you're working with multiple people, like multiple companies, you don't want all their content to look the same. You want to define each person. So I try to add a little bit of their personality into it. I'll show them what my style is. Like, I'm a very clean editor. I don't want to put too many effects and stuff like that. I want to, especially in the corporate world, I want to keep it as clean as possible. So I'll show them my editing style, and then I'll say, okay, how would you like to change this? What are you looking for? And how can we make this your style? And that's tricky, but that's something that comes with experience. Like you've edited tons of projects different ways, right? So it's to figure out what that client needs and how they want to stand out.
No, that's a good point. Well, like, cause a lot of times people like if they do find you on Instagram or something like that, they'll fall in love with the style that they saw in that video, and they'll say like, "Oh, can you do something similar for us?" So sometimes like it is good to have like a maybe it's just the way you but it's probably more an editing thing than a filming thing, to be honest. But like whether it's a certain way that you make your transitions or a certain way that like your videos are often sort of whether it's fast pace, like fast cuts, or it's more of a, I don't know, something like that stylistically sort of separates yourself, and automatically when people see that, it's like, oh, like I've never seen this before, sort of thing. Like give just in a way to create your own look that's gonna make you more recognizable, and then that people are gonna want to apply that to their videos. And the only way to get to do that is to get you to do it. But that's more, it's probably more of a photography thing. Like a lot of photographers, like they'll get hired because they have this
A
look to
style.
their, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you can do it with video, but you're right though, that you know, each client has their own personality, their own energy, and it has to shine through your videos. So it's a hard thing to pull off if you're working for clients. But yeah, if you can manage to have it, maybe it's something that you use only for your, yeah, more of a show reel sort of thing. But then once you get the client, you can adapt it to what they do, not necessarily just do your thing, but with their content. But
Well, I'll give you an example if you want. So with clients, like corporate clients, their reels, I'm looking to start with a good hook, something that they say that's going to make you want to watch that video. You know, even if it's a 17-second video, let's say, but that opening hook line is so important. It's like, this is what we're talking about. This is the problem we're going to solve. Like you do in your YouTube videos, right? Your thumbnail is your hook. Whatever your thumbnail is, you have to solve that problem or showcase that product, that
yeah,
camera, etc. But then, like on the weekend, I did a referee formation training. Sorry, I said the French word again. Training for referees, and it's probably not the most exciting thing to film. It's referees skating as fast as they can backwards and doing obstacles and stuff like that. But for that video,
sounds like fun.
I do like a different hook, right? Like you build it up and then you have like a quick action pace kind of thing and you make it look
Yeah,
intense. And that's my hook for that, to get people to view that. So on one side, I'm doing a corporate person who's solving someone's problem or giving a good hook on why this product is inferior, or, you know, or whatever. And now I'm showing this other sports video where I'm showing fast action or a cool shot right away to grab your attention. So that's the way I vary it. Every client is different. It's just I understand, especially in the social media world, that those first 3 seconds are crucial. So it's either going to be a hook or a cool shot to start it.
but in a way, that's kind of what your style is in a way. Like it is that thing that you do. It's having a hook, whether the hook is, you know, a corporate type of hook or a sports type of hook. There's always one at the start.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
See, you found your USP. It's all
All righty. So, you know,
full circle.
we've been talking for over an hour now. So what do I have to do to get my personal brand up to beyond the game's expectations? I'll take notes. I got my notepad. Tell me what to do, Ian. I'm gonna do it.
Good question. First of all, maybe career change. I don't know.
There you go. There you go.
No. I think you're doing right. I think, well, like you said, like the fact that you've got the corporate stuff and the sports stuff sort of all meshed together, um, probably, I don't know if it's confusing people, but like, yeah, maybe if someone discover you for one and then goes to the Instagram and sees more of the other, they might think, oh, maybe he's not who I think he was, or he's not doing what I think he does. So separating the two could be a good idea. But at the end of the day, for me, it's always been just what it is that I enjoy doing 8, 10 hours a day. And once I figure that out, then I just figure out a way to get paid to do it. You know what I mean? Like the at at the core of everything, I need to really enjoy what I do, and then I'll figure out a way to make money from it. So if you enjoy doing sports more than corporate, then I'd say just focus on sports and try to figure out a way to make it a business. If you enjoy corporate more, then focus on corporate and make that a business. And if it's the variety that you enjoy, then figure out a way to make it work. And that probably means multiple Instagram accounts. But yeah, you just have to make sure that you enjoy what you're doing.
I enjoy the challenge of making videos. For me, making videos is like solving a puzzle. You know, there's different pieces. Like, you got your A roll, your B roll, your sound effects, your graphics, and you put them on a timeline, and you got to make them all come together to finalize that puzzle. So that's what I enjoy about video making, filmmaking. There are projects that I'm more passionate about, obviously, but right now I'm more focused on that financial freedom, so I don't mind dipping my toes in other niches. I do have the feeling eventually I will find that niche, or that one that really attracts me. Obviously, sports is always going to be there, but like I said, sports is usually in the evenings and weekends. It's during the day I have time for these corporate shoots. I really wanted real estate to be that one. Maybe I can give it another try, but right now I don't think it is. But it's silly things like on Monday I did a 3-camera 2-person interview, and it was nothing crazy. I think I set up for an hour and a half, and it was a 20-minute interview. But the shots looked great. I was happy. There were some challenges because there was a window behind, so you're worried about reflection of lights. You're worried about the sun coming in. You're worried about those things. But solving that problem in that moment, I had fun. It was fun for me. It might not be fun for other people when you explain it, but for me at that time, I liked the challenge. I liked it. The shot came out great, so I was happy with it. So I like the challenges in everyday filmmaking, like corporate stuff, but sports, there's no comparison. When someone scores a goal or has a big moment in sports, and you're capturing that, and everyone seeing what you're capturing live, and you feel the energy from the crowd, it's uncomparable. So sports is my main niche. It's my corporate niche side that I'm having a hard time with. So I hopefully we'll get it out there, and we'll find it. But this is all part of the process of
Part
opening
two.
up, sharing. We figured it would be a good segue, because I'm sure other people are struggling with this too, because not everybody lives in a town where they have all these pro sports teams or access. So you got schools to go to, universities and stuff, and you have this expensive camera and these expensive lights. So how else can you use them? And that was kind
Yeah,
of the idea behind this.
makes sense.
Now,
So do we have any questions?
I do have one question. I do got one question. Let me pull it up here. It is from CTA Creative.
CTA.
It was actually a comment off of one of our reels that I had done.
Which Instagram was it?
Instagram reel that
What was
yeah.
it? Was it Game Day Glare? Was it your business? Was it your...
It was a Game Day Glare comment. Okay, it was a Game Day Glare comment. So from CTA Creations. So the clip was about me talking about how I started my own company
Of course it was.
because it's hard to get hired for video positions when you have too much experience. At least that's what I found. A lot of people are looking for junior experience, and then once you get in there, you find out it's not really junior experience they're looking for. They are just looking to give you the junior salary. So he writes, I'm in the opposite situation. I'm looking for the junior positions, and I keep getting the feeling that I don't have enough experience to be taken seriously. Could you discuss this topic in the next episode?
Yeah, well, I think it's what you said. It's probably that they say junior position because they want to pay junior money, but in reality, they're still hoping that that person is good enough to film, to edit, to do After Effects, and probably a couple more things. So yeah, so that's why it can be hard. But I'd say first of all, if that's what's happening, you probably don't want to work for a place like that. But I think yeah, the advice is to if just do like get your foot in the door no matter what, and even if it's doing some volunteer work here and there just to build your portfolio, or it's working at a place where you feel like you're underpaid or undervalued, just so that you can sort of add them to your resume and again to your show reel and things like that, just knowing that you're not necessarily going to be there for very long, but at least just do it for a little bit, to build your experience, and that way the next job you'll be able to say, yeah, I worked at that club or that level, and which is probably a level below, but at least like you did something and you're sort of on your way there, and this is the next step in your career, and you'll be taking more seriously. That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, listen, a lot of people are asking for junior positions, but they don't want junior work, and they don't want junior experience. They want to pay junior. Now, if you're struggling with that, you think you're not good enough for it, go out, film stuff, try stuff. Everybody has a first day on the job, a first gig, a first shoot, and I said this to you before, and I said, don't steal my line. Like Alex Hermosi says, what is it? Thinking about the thing, talking about the thing isn't doing the thing. Just do the thing. So get out there, shoot, film, edit, try. You will get better. You will get experience. You will get, hopefully, the gig.
And it's about being at the being. They say luck is preparation meets opportunity. So yeah, it's being prepared so that when the opportunity rises up, then you feel ready and you are ready.
That's it. We end this show on two big quotes, right? Motivational quotes, all right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare. See ya.